Hey everybody, Ryan F. MTG here, and before we talk about today's topic, just a little reminder, please pet the little corgi in the bottom right corner. That's the sub button, and it's great to get subs with each and every video. But today, we're going to do something a little bit different. Unfortunately, it looks like we're not going to get any balance updates or new cards, at least for the start of May, since, that's kind of what we were expecting, but we haven't heard anything, and with what's going on in the world, it's not that surprising that things are delayed. However, it's still unfortunate, it kind of feels bad. But today I want to talk about if I was making changes, what changes, aka balance updates, I would be making at the start of May. Before we dive deep into the 13 cards as well as the 3 hero arts that I think should receive a nerf, aka balance change, I'm not really doing any buffs just because I'm looking at nerfs right now, I want to say all this is my own personal thoughts, right? With my own personal biases and what I like in the game and what I dislike in the game. So your thoughts might be very different from mine, or they might be pretty similar, and that's okay. But let me know in the comments because I like to read what you all think about what I have to say, as well as just what you think about the game in general. Let's first talk about the cards that I think should be nerfed, and let's first talk about red. There's 2 red cards. First off is Agent's Memories. This is 2 MP, deal 2 damage to either the hero or enemy unit. If you have Memory 7, it deals 7 damage instead. This is kind of a ridiculous card. Yes, it's a legendary, so it's just a one-off, but it's such a good removal spell. Also, sometimes just a win condition because 7 damage to the opponent is such a big chunk of your life when you only have 30 life to start with. So what I think should change here is I think the base level of 2 MP and the base level of 2 damage should be the same. The Memory 7 I actually think should stay the same, but I think what should be changed is deal 7 damage, I think should be deal 5 damage. Where it's still really good, right? And Memory 7 is kind of a mid to late game play, and 5 damage is still good because you can still finish off the opponent with 5 damage, or you can kill a lot of units with 5 damage, but just knocking it down 2 damage I think would make this card feel a little bit more fair, but still have it be a good legendary. Next up is Veltrax. 5 MP for 2/5 with Flight, Rush, Agility. This unit has seen a ton of play, especially in Rathalos Blazing Wall decks, and I think this is a pretty okay and fair unit, even though it's really, really good, right? I'm not saying it's not good, but it doesn't seem so overpowered. I think just a little tweak to it would be keep the stats and the MP cost the same, but take away the rush. So it would be a 5 MP, 2/5 with Flight and Agility. Flight and Agility are the 2 really good keywords, but without the rush, it doesn't deal you 2 damage right when the opponent plays it, or 2 damage and then they quickly buff it so it's a little bit more. Just taking the rush makes this card feel a little bit fairer, but still have it be very, very good. Time to talk about green. Yet again, there's 2 cards in green that I think should receive a balance change. First up is Blade Shattering Defense. It's 2 MP, it gives plus 3 HP to a friendly unit. If you have Memory 2, it also gives that unit shield. This card is so good. I've been playing a lot of X Charge Shot, and this card is such a house in that deck because 2 MP is very, very cheap. And then giving plus 3 HP to a friendly unit just for 2 MP is actually pretty darn good. And Memory 2 is laughable easy for that deck, or for most any deck. And Shield is such a powerful effect. So what I would change here is actually make it Memory 4. Right? Keep everything the same, but have the memory cost be 4 to get that shield. So in the early game, or even like when it tends to be kind of almost mid-game, you might actually not get the shield. So maybe you just have to cycle a Blade Shattering Defense and just get the plus 3 HP a little bit more, but have it be Memory 4 is, towards the later mid-game or the late game, you're still getting that shield. Next up is X himself. 4 MP for 2/5 with Resonate, give all friendly units plus 1 HP. I think a good change to this card would be keep everything the same, but have the Resonate just be give all other units plus 1 HP so he doesn't pump himself. That means if you have X Charge Shot, he's not pumping himself. So, he's still a 2/5. You kind of need to spend more resources to make X stick around and to be bigger. He's still going to be a good card because he's still pumping your team, but he's not pumping himself. Next up is purple, and I think this is the color that definitely needs the most balance changes, especially because of Zero. And purple just has so many good tools at its disposal, and especially legendaries, that you'll see there's quite a few. A couple of the cards are kind of clumped, so I'll talk about them in sections. First up is Demonic Intimidation, as well as Quicksand, because they both basically have this exact same effect. You know, it's 3 MP and return an enemy unit that costs 4 MP or less to the EX pocket, where Quicksand is to the opponent's deck rather than the EX pocket, and it can't be ascended. There's not tons of ascended units, that's why I'm kind of joining these together. Yes, they're a little different, but they're very similar. What I think the change should be is have it cost 4 MP, because it would really greatly decrease how good this card is if it was 4 MP, bounce a 4 MP or less unit, but it doesn't make the tempo advantage as well in the purple favor. You know, the purple player still wants to be playing a lot of actions, so they would still play Demonic Intimidation and Quicksand, just maybe a little bit fewer of them, and also just have it be less good. Next up, we have another joint, in my opinion. We have Exposed Evil Eye, as well as Accelerated Thought. Both of these cards are MP ramp cards for purple, and I will just say right off the bat, I do not like that they gave purple MP boost, because that's a green thing. Yes, I know that black kind of saw it, and I know that the colors can kind of be a little blurred, and I think that's fine. I don't think you have to 100% like stick to every single color identity and not have any bleed over, but I don't think that purple should have MP boost, because it just gives it so much more action, or ways just to play actions and just spam actions while kind of for free. But, you know, this is in the past. They gave purple MP boost. I hope that they don't keep giving purple more MP boost. How do you change this? Well, you could change the MP boost to, you know, 20 or something like that. However, I think you just up the MP cost. I think Exposed Evil Eye costs 4, and then Accelerated Thought, even though it's worse than Exposed Evil Eye, I think you now make it cost 5. Right, just add 1 to the MP cost both ways, because it makes it less free. Next up, we have 3 legendaries, and yes, I know legendaries are supposed to be very good and you only can play 1 off in your deck, but I think these 3 purple legendaries are just a little bit too pushed and powerful. First is Brainwash. I know a lot of people hate this card, and it's not my favorite card either. But it's 7 MP, seize control of an enemy unit, just point blank. Doesn't matter how big or strong or buff that enemy unit is, you just grab it. Now, you can counterplay this with, like, you know, Selfless Predation or Mad Masquerading that unit in response, but I still think Brainwash is very good, even though it can be kind of countered in more corner case scenarios that, you know, come up often, but not all the time. I think you're simply making Brainwash 8 MP. It still would make it a very good card and a very powerful card, but it does cost a little bit more, and I think that tempo advantage loss would kind of make up for a little bit there. Next up is X-Hunters. I'm not going to read the whole thing. We're all familiar with this, and this is kind of the reason, or at least one of the reasons, Zero Rico Ha is so powerful, because it could just be playing all the MP ramp stuff, the foresights, and just demonic powers, and just cantripping, and then you play an X-Hunter, and you kind of win the game, because you have memory 10, you have memory 15, and this is so powerful. What I would change to this is actually make this 10 MP. Change it, you know, plus 3 MP from the original cost to 10 MP, because if this is your win con, it should be 10 MP, because it is so good, it's so hard to deal with if you do it. And I feel like if this costs 10 MP, because then your opponent would have to play this, and then they would have spent all their resources, so then they would have to at least wait a little bit of time in order to be playing something. And all in all, I still think X-Hunters would be a very, very good card, even at 10 MP, but at least it would cost a lot more, and it would definitely decrease of how powerful it is. The last purple legendary is V, the Mysterious One, 8 MP for a 0/5 that brings friends when you resonate. This is a very good card, and it has seen a lot more play in Rico Ha or just Zero decks across the board, and it's so good. I think what you should change, though, is just bump it up 1. Cost 9 MP, because yet again, kind of like what I said with X-Hunters, is once you're casting it, making stuff a little bit more expensive to cast, that means you have less resources right off the bat. So I think if you made V cost 9, that means if your opponent plays this, even if they had 10 MP, they just have 1 MP to work with rather than 2 right off the bat. And all in all, it still makes V very good, but just a little less good. Black is up next, and yet again there's two cards, so every color had two cards, besides purple had a whole slew of them. But the first up is Fate of the Unworthy. It's 3 MP, and it destroys an enemy unit with MP cost 4 or less without the Ascend status. It also deals 1 damage to the enemy hero. This card is so good. And yes, Black is not the most powerful, but I think this card is just a little bit too oppressive, because it's just too good. Where I think what you change it is just make it cost 4 MP. Right, kind of like Demonic Power. Hey, if you can bounce something that's 4 MP, it costs 4. So having Fate of the Unworthy cost 4 MP, also get rid of the deal 1 damage to the enemy hero, because that's just extra gravy that I don't think this card needs, of that little reach. And also, like, some like burn decks kind of play this because the deals 1 damage with can, like, you know, get more powerful with other deal damage effects. So all in all, I would say raise Fate of the Unworthy to 4 MP and get rid of the deal 1 damage. The last card I want to talk about is Bloodbath Frenzy. This is 3 MP, you sacrifice 2 life, and it gets more and more powerful pump spell with your memory going up and up. This card is so good for a pump spell, especially the memory 4, that it says additionally that unit performs an instant attack. This can kind of be just a win con in it of itself when you're pumping a, you know, flight unit or something like that. I don't hate this card, but it's a little bit too powerful. Actually, I kind of do like this card because I play decks with this, but I still think it's too powerful. What I would do is maybe keep all the stats the same, you know, still have sacrifice 2 life, keep it to be 3 MP, but I would change the first memory threshold to 3, because it just makes it a little bit harder to get that additional +1/+1 in spillover. And then the instant attack memory, I would actually change that to 6. Because that should be a very, you know, kind of towards the end of mid game to late game win con. And, you know, 6 memory is kind of hard to get, but not ridiculously hard for decks that are just playing a ton, you know, a couple units and a ton of pump spells. So all in all, I would keep most things the same, but have the first threshold be memory 3 and the last threshold be memory 6. Next up, let's talk about the 3 hero arts that I think should receive a nerf. First off is Rathlow's Blazing Wall. I think this one is a little too undercost, and we are seeing a lot of Blazing Wall decks doing very good in the meta, and I think that's fine, right? There should be better and worse decks, but I think Blazing Wall itself is just a little bit too powerful. What I would do is just up the AP cost to 17, so up it by 3. I don't think you need to go all the way to 20. I think if you just up it by 3, so make it 17, that means the times that the Rathalos player can double hero art are a lot less, and also they just have to wait a little bit further in the game to use their hero power. Next up is X Charge Shot. This it's AP 16, and it says give when HP is boosted, gain +1 attack to all friendly units. This now with, you know, the Mammoth, the Diablos, X himself, is such a really good hero art, and I think it's just a little bit too good. Yes, even though I kind of said I wanted to change a couple of the green cards, I still think the hero power is now just a little bit too strong. I think what you do here, you can't really, you know, change the when HP is boost, because then you're changing the whole thing. So I think that's fine and a cool ability, but I think you make this AP 20. And, you know, pumping it up to AP 20 is a big change, right? That is 4. But 20 kind of seems like this threshold of the really good, powerful ones. And really changing Charge Shot to 20 would really have an impact on the deck itself, because that means that's less likely that you can double hero art in more games, as well as you have to wait a little bit longer to even use your first hero art, let alone double hero arts. So I really think that this would make X Charge Shot worse, but still a very good deck. Last but definitely not least, well, kind of least favorite for a lot of people, and kind of myself included right now in the meta, is Zero Rico Ha. Zero is the newest hero to Teppen, and definitely seemed a little pushed, kind of a lot pushed. But anyways, Rico Ha, you know, we kind of know what it does. It's AP 16. I think you should change the AP cost to 20. Kind of like what I said with X Charge Shot, 20 seems to be this threshold of the really powerful ones. Also, Rico Ha is kind of reminiscent or kind of similar to Nergigante's Spike Launch. You know, with Spike Launch, you have to deal yourself damage. With Rico Ha, you have to just play actions, which is kind of a little bit easier and more safe. Also, with increasing the AP to 20, I would change the memory threshold, because memory 4 and memory 10 to get, 7 and then 12 damage, it's so trivial for them to get it. The memory 10 is a little bit harder, so maybe the first Rico Ha is just the memory 4, but I would still change the memory threshold to have the first one be memory 6, but then the next one be maybe memory like 13 or even 14. You know what? I'm going to say 14. So what I would change is AP 20, memory 6, and memory 14. Yes, that's a lot of changes, but right now Rico Ha's it's too good, and it's too easy for Rico Ha players just to spam actions, and also memory 14, they're probably still going to get to memory 14. Maybe that's a little bit more harsh than the other ones, but I also think Rico Ha right now I have the most grievances with just its base power level. Overall, those are most all of my thoughts about what Teppen could be nerfing in the next balance change. Yes, good balance changes can also have buffs, which I didn't want to talk about buffs because there was enough cards in hero arts that I think should be nerfed and changed a little bit. So that's why I just kept this video on the nerf side. But let me know in the comments if you agree, disagree with me, or what cards and hero arts maybe I missed, or how you would change these, right? If you think Rico Ha should be changed, but maybe it should be more nerf than I think, or less nerf. So let me know in the comments, because I like reading what you all think about Teppen and your ideas, because it's fun learning what other people think. But thank you all for watching, and I'll see you all next time.